Good morning and welcome to the webinar Keys to Accelerate Energy Efficiency in Energy-Intensive Industries, organized by the European project LifeSet22 AuditPlus. We would like to thank you for your interest in attending this webinar. We kindly ask you to keep your microphones mute during the webinar. At the end of the speakers' presentations, you can ask questions by clicking on the hand icon and activating the microphone, or in writing by typing the question in the chat. Indication to whom the question is addressed, and we will read it for you, okay? The webinar will be recorded for use as documentation of the AuditPlus activities and dissemination of the project objectives. So without further ado, I give way to Antonio López-Nava, Managing Director of A3E, National Association of Energy Efficiency Companies in Spain and partner of the AuditPlus project. Thank you. Antonio?
Thank you, Teresa. Thanks to all of you for attending this webinar. A special thanks to the experts that are going to participate as panelists. The webinar, as Teresa said, is one of the actions organized in the project AuditPlus. My name is Antonio López-Nava. I'm the manager of A3E. A3E is the Spanish Association of Energy Efficiency Companies. Is one of the partners in the project AuditPlus, as Teresa said. We work in A3E to represent and to promote the sector in Spain, energy efficiency sector. AuditPlus is a LifeSet project and aims to promote energy efficiency audits and the implementation of measures in energy-intensive industries. We work in 3 countries, Poland, Ireland, and Spain, and in 3 sectors: ceramic sector, chemical and pharmaceutical industry, and also food industry. And we are giving support, or we are going to give support to these energy-intensive industries in some areas. And we are going to do that through our operational groups, with our expert groups. In technical area, helping to do energy efficiency audits. In financial and regulatory areas, through trainings, we have developed, we are developing a capacity building program. And also we will give support with the implementation of measures through our experts. Well, in the webinar, we are going to talk about 2023 Energy Efficiency Directive that has to be transposed to European Union countries' legislation before April 2026. Edita Novak is going to talk about that. Edita is a team leader, energy efficiency policy. She works in the energy efficiency unit of Directorate-General for Energy from the European Commission. Thank you very much, Edita, for accepting our invitation to participate. We are also going to talk about white certificates, energy saving certificate system in Spain, also called a 𝗘𝗍 system in Spain. Rafael Mirat is going to talk about that. Rafael is energy efficiency development manager from the company AICE-ITC. Thank you, Rafael, for being here today with us also. We are also going to talk about key issues to implement these white certificates, this 𝗘𝗍, and we are going to see some examples in energy-intensive industries. Clara González-Pedraz is going to talk about that. Clara is Energy Business Unit responsible from EQA. Thank you, Clara, for your participation and for sharing your expertise with us as well. At last, we will have with us two other partners in the project AuditPlus that are going to inform us about the next two seminars focused on energy savings actions for the ceramic industry and for the food industry. They are Ana Mezquita. Ana Mezquita is not now, is 𝗘𝗱𝗆𝗆, but we think Ana Mezquita will be in a few minutes. Ana is a senior researcher at 𝗲𝗱𝗲𝗿𝗆, Ceramic Technical Institute in Castellón. And also will talk Eduardo Rodríguez, Technical Manager, Industry and Urban Ecosystem Area at EnergyLab in Galicia. 𝗲𝗱𝗲 and EnergyLab are also partners in AuditPlus project. So that's all from my side. I hope this webinar fit your interests. So we can start with the first presentation. Edita, if you are ready.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good morning. My name is Edyta Nowak. I am a team leader in energy efficiency unit in the Directorate-General for Energy. And as Antonio has, I'm sorry. As Antonio has introduced, I'm going to speak about energy efficiency directive that recently entered into the force, and I will focus on Article 11 with provisions on energy management systems and energy audits and other industry aspects. I will not speak only about the directive, but also what is ahead of us, and you will see towards the end of my presentation. And now let me upload my presentation so that we can start. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So energy efficiency directive, it entered into the force on the 10th of October 2023, but the member states have the transposition time 2 years. So the transposition deadline for the member states is the 10th of October 2025. In the directive, there are also other like transitional dates, and these are also found in Article 11, and I will speak about it a little bit more. So Article 11 on energy management systems and energy audits, it has been completely remodeled in the energy efficiency directive. The previous Article 8, as we know, was focusing on energy audit in the enterprises that are not SMEs, so non-SMEs. And now with new Article 11, the focus has changed completely, and energy-intensive enterprises will be subject to the mandatory energy management systems and energy audits. So under Article 11, we have two energy consumption thresholds. It's 85 terajoule for implementation of the energy management systems and 10 terajoule for energy audits. Where do these thresholds come from? This is the most common question we've been asked also during the negotiations and then after the directive has been adopted. So I will answer it straightforward. The Commission has committed a study, a dedicated study that was looking into different energy consumption thresholds of the enterprises. And basically, the aim was to to basically balance the approach in terms of catching the energy consumption of the same, let's say, the same business use as it was under Article 8, and at the same time limiting the administrative burden in terms of the number of the enterprises under the scope. The study was conducted a couple of years ago already. Therefore, maybe the numbers, and this is what we hear from some member states, that maybe the numbers might not be accurate, but I will still quote them. These are the numbers from 2021. So under the scope of the energy audit, so the enterprises with the energy consumption more than 10 terajoule, it was estimated that in the whole European Union, there would be 174,000 enterprises under the scope, out of which around 23,000 very energy intensive with the energy consumption more than 85 terajoule. And here I would like also to mention about the dates, let's say the transition dates, because the transposition deadline for the whole directive for the member states is 10th of October 2025. But under Article 11, there are specific provisions for the enterprises that fall under these obligations for the first time. So as regards energy management systems, the enterprises will have time up until the 10th of October 2027 to put the energy management system in place and have it certified according to the standards. And for energy audits, the enterprises that are caught by this obligation for the first time, they will have up until the 10th of October 2026 to have the first energy audit. Enterprises that were already subject to the obligations under Article 8, they will continue with their 4-year cyclicity of the energy audits. Another novelty under Article 11 is the obligation to prepare an action plan. The action plan shall identify measures to implement each and every audit recommendation where technically and economically feasible. So whereas there is no obligation stemming from the directive to implement energy audit recommendations, still they have to be put in a concrete and feasible action plan, put in writing, and also made publicly available. And action plan, along with the recommendation implementation rate, has to be published in the enterprise's annual report. For the information obligation. Here I would like to comment a little bit about the provisions of Article 11, paragraph 3. So basically the directive puts obligation on the member states. The directive itself cannot put an obligation directly on the enterprises. So of course this is up to the member states to identify the enterprises and of course to put in place the provisions so that the enterprises can fulfill these obligations. That's why under Article 11.3 we call it information obligation. Therefore, member states have to put in place provisions so that enterprises can report to authorities responsible for the implementation of this article, whenever they actually fall under the obligation of Article 11. So therefore, whenever their annual energy consumption averaged over the past 3 years and taking all energy carriers together exceeds 10 terajoule or 85 terajoule. There is also a provision that is tackling a little bit already energy-water nexus. So the provision under Article 11.4 encourages also member states to put puts an obligation on the member states to encourage enterprises also to report their not only their energy consumption but also their water consumption. Then the new provisions under Article 11.6 and 7 describe the obligations in relation to the support provided by the member states to the SMEs, and basically they focus on new elements in their support schemes and programs for the SMEs that they have to include. Support to SMEs in quantifying the multiple benefits of energy efficiency, development of energy efficiency roadmaps, and development of energy efficiency networks for SMEs. Article 11, as it was the case with Article 8, is complemented by Annex 6, and basically with the minimum criteria for the conduct of energy audits. The criteria as they were under the previous Annex 6, they remain as they are, so nothing has been changed there, but 2 additional minimum criteria for energy audits to be conducted under Article 11 include identification of the energy efficiency measures to decrease energy consumption, and also identification of the potential for the production and use of the renewable energy. After the entry into the force of the directive on energy efficiency, the Commission has been working very intensively almost the whole year on the preparation of the Commission recommendations with the guidance note that may help member states in the transposition and practical implementation of the new or changed provisions of the energy efficiency directive. And in total, we have prepared and published 9 recommendations. They are all available on energy efficiency directive website on Europa web page, and they are available in all EU official languages. That's why it took a little bit of time until they were published, but the last ones were published in September. The guidance note on Article 11 was published at the end of July. And basically, the guidance note for Article 11 focuses on the new elements of the directive. So basically, the basic provisions for energy audits, they were tackled in the previous guidance note for the 2012 directive, and then now it's enhanced with the new scope of the obligation for the enterprises to help member states to identify the enterprises under the obligation, and it provides like stepwise approach towards the identification of the enterprises under this obligation, and this is mainly based on the best practices already existing in the member states. The guidance also develops on the preparation of the action plan with the measures to implement energy audit recommendations. And here, one of the most important suggestions to the member state is mainly to use the existing reporting schemes that are already in place, and basically to allow enterprises under the scope to report also under corporate responsibility directive and European sustainable responsibility standards. So this is for Article 11 and the guidance note on Article 11. And here I will say a few words also on Articles 8, 9, 10 of the Energy Efficiency Directive, because it also has the relevance to the subject of today's webinar, and namely white certificates. So basically, the structure and the architecture of the Article 8, the previous Article 7, has not been significantly modified. And the main changes concerned substantially increased savings rate under Article 8, and also amendments to Annex 5. But the basic principles, and mainly the principle of additionality as regards Annex 5, has not changed. And here I would like to underline that energy efficiency obligation schemes that now are subject of Article 9 of Energy Efficiency Directive, and alternative measures under Article 10 of Energy Efficiency Directive, they are the main modalities for the implementation and delivery of the energy savings obligation under Article 8. From the reporting under the governance regulation, we see that currently 13 member states are implementing energy efficiency obligation schemes. And out of those, 4 member states actually are opting for white certificates. Hopefully this number will be growing, but this is up to the member states to decide which schemes or which measures they plan or they are putting in place for the implementation of Article 8 EED recast, and this has not been basically modified by the directive. For the transposition and implementation of Articles 8, 9, 10, there is also a guidance note. It was published earlier in June. And looking ahead, what's ahead of us? Ahead of us is the new commission mandate under President von der Leyen, 2024-2029. And it was announced in the political guidelines that one of the priorities of the new commission will be a clean industrial deal, of course, with the focus on industry and competitiveness of the European economy. It is to be adopted in the first 100 days of the new commission. It is not yet entirely known which form it's going to take, but definitely it will be complemented by a number of following legislative and non-legislative proposals. Of course, energy component is going to be a crucial part of the clean industrial deal, and we are going to work basically on two foundations for the clean industrial deal. One is affordable energy, and the other one is industrial decarbonization accelerator. This is what is known for the moment. Of course, political guidelines. Then there were when President von der Leyen presented them to the European Parliament. Now we know a little bit more with the mission letters to the commissioners designates. But yeah, how the work is going to be organized and how it will translate into concrete proposals, we will see in coming days and weeks, and definitely in the first 100 days of the new commission. That's it from my side. Thank you very much, and of course I'm ready to answer any questions as I understand towards the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edita. Very interesting recast. And now we welcome Rafael Mirat, Business Development of Energy Efficiency of the company AICE Commodities. The company provides market-based and end-to-end sustainability solutions tailor-made to hit the climate targets. Rafael will talk about the new energy savings certificate system in Spain. So, let me give you the role of presenter, and now.
Okay, yeah, yes, got it. Thank you very much, Teresa. Just give me 1 second. Could you please confirm that you can see my screen correctly?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Teresa, Antonio, 𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗲, and Edita for your introduction and words. And thank you for having us here. My name is Rafael Mirat Fernández-Cuervo. I work for AICE-ITC Commodities. As Teresa just explained, we provide market-based solution for decarbonization. They can apply to either any scope 1, 2, or 3. It can be based on energy efficiency, energy, like renewable energy, carbon credits, for example, and so forth. And of course, and given the nature of our company, we have been active in the white certificate schemes in the different countries that are in place. As Edita mentioned before, there are 4 countries that have this scheme, which are currently Italy, Poland, France, and Spain. And France has been our cornerstone. We've been there for the last 15 years, working as a market operator for selling and buying both the white certificates and the energy savings. For the last 5 years, we've been working there as, if you recall, mandate, which is still not in place in Spain, but I will come into that in the next slides. It's basically a representative of delegated and related parties and subjects to go looking for savings and help them boost the system. And for the past 2 years, we are what's called a delegated subject, who is a market operator with ability of issue and trade with CAEs, with white certificates, which is also a key figure, because they support all the obligated parties to meet their obligations towards their own energy efficiency funds. I'd like to speak first at a very high level on where the white certificate scheme comes from in Spain, then provide an overview of the market and who is who within the market, which I think is very important to identify who the key stakeholders are. Next, I'll speak about the standard and similar projects, how we can turn some projects into whites, and how does the market work in the process. Finally, proceed with a case study so you can see a standard scenario where, of course, we have a return of investment on the energy efficiency project. And at the end, some conclusions so each stakeholder can see and can benefit what the benefits are for themselves. Well, the white certificate market in Spain comes from actually has gone through a long way through. It all started with the energy efficiency directive from the European Union, the 27/2012, where it was decided that each state member of the Union had to set the targets for energy efficiency, which comes into energy savings, as in each country has to commit to certain energy savings by year 2030. The way each member country achieve this target may vary. As Edita said before, they have different schemes. Can be, for example, the white certificate market. And what Spain did was creating the National Fund for Energy Efficiency, the FNEE, as in Spanish words. This fund lives with the money that's provided by all the energy retail companies in Spain, both energy in electricity, speaking of electricity, oil and gas. And what they traditionally did is, based on the sales of each company, they provided some funds to this fund, and then subsidies were paid in from the money in this bucket. This fund is supported by the energy efficiency regulating systems, which is what I just explained, how each company provides funds to this bag of money for then different directives and subsidies to be applied. And through this, we were traditionally meeting the targets of energy savings. Spain then decided in 2013 to apply the white certificate scheme, which changed the way the money was given to this fund so that energy efficiency was boosted and more efficient. And also projects could be done in a more quicker way because, of course, as you know, subsidies take time, and this way, through the white certificate scheme, we go from a, let's say, subsidy to market to a market-based solution where it's personal contracts and everything is much more agile. As wrapping up this introduction, this scheme is implemented to fulfill Spain's obligation towards the EU in terms of energy savings and efficiency, and is an alternative to traditional ways of meeting these targets. And how does this translate into the market? How does this work? Well, as I said, the way to provide money to this fund.
Yes? Excuse me, Rafael, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but we only see the first slide, you know?
Okay. Well,
Maybe you can move. Okay. Thank you very much.
share again. Let me share again because I think you were seeing the presentation screen. Can you see now?
Yes, now we can see it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could you see this one before?
Understanding the market.
Yeah, I think, yes, I don't know why you're only seeing just give me 1 second. I will share my entire screen. I think that would be easier. Okay, can you see now the understanding the market slide?
Yes, now we see the understanding the market slide.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Well, as I was saying, Spain moved towards the white certificate scheme, and this means that now the obligation towards the energy fund to create subsidies for energy efficiency projects and achieve the target set by EU and the member states. Traditionally, everything went through the upper stream, as you can see. So related subjects, energy retailers, both from electricity and oil and gas, had to fulfill an obligation based on their sales from 2 years before. And this obligation had a price per megawatt hour, meaning that depending on how much energy you sold, you would be providing money to the fund to contribute for more subsidies to apply. So traditionally, the companies would provide the obligation to the national fund. The national fund will create different lines of subsidies and aids that will go towards energy efficiency actions, and then this action will justify the savings so that the EU could see Spain was complying with their targets. With the white certificate scheme, this changes. This still applies, so there's still a minimum portion of the contribution to the national fund that has to go through the regular payment, which this year is a 35% of the obligation, and the megawatt hour that goes through this road is paid at 182.37 euro per megawatt hour. However, through the white certificate scheme, through the 𝗘𝗱𝗆 scheme, this changes. There's an alternative. This year, up to 65 of the obligation, and this will change in the upcoming years. Next year will be 80% of the obligation, can be achieved through the white certificate scheme. And how do they provide these white certificates? Well, what they do is they go to the market and look for energy efficiency actions to present as theirs to commit to meet their obligations toward the national fund. And how they do it is that they buy the savings, they buy the offset that was created from an energy efficiency project and present that as their own. This has two benefits. On the one hand, of course, the obligation is paid in at a cheaper price, so it's more efficient for the obligated parties to commit with the obligation, but also they are funding efficiency projects directly, so that an end user, which can be a like a big company, like a big retail company, for example, supermarkets, any company or any person that perform an efficiency project, can be, for example, including a heat pump into your household, can benefit from the white certificate scheme because they will be paid directly for the savings they are obtaining rather than waiting for subsidies to come through. So through different entities that we will come into detail next, which are the delegated subjects, intermediaries, aggregators, the obligated parties can get these savings, convert them into 𝗘𝗍𝗆, and this is where Clara will explain later the paper of EQUA and the verifying entities into this market, so that with the 𝗘𝗍𝗆s that are issued into their account after they purchase the savings, they can comply and justify the savings they have to provide to the national fund. Then, so in this market, who is who? Because we're speaking of subjects, we're speaking of aggregators, we're speaking of different people throughout the market, and it's important to understand who is who in this scenario. Obligated subjects, as I mentioned before, are the electricity, oil and gas marketers, like big energy retail companies, that must comply with obligation, providing money to the fund from which then subsidies are created. Then we have the delegated subjects. This is, I think, also one of the cornerstones of the market in Spain, and this is something we also inherited from France, and it's very good to have, which is companies that are accredited because they have the knowledge and expertise on energy efficiency, and they can issue 𝗘𝗍𝗆s on behalf of delegated parties. This helps boosting the system because, of course, obligated parties can need to comply with the FNAE, but may not have all the technical knowledge or the market knowledge to achieve their targets, because sometimes they are really, really big in terms of savings. So delegated subjects are key to issue these white certificates. On top of that, we have aggregators and intermediaries, and it's any entity that is not a delegated subject but can help throughout the process. This goes from the installers, engineering firms that want to imply the 𝗘𝗍𝗆s for their clients, to consultancy companies, installers, engineers, and any other given company within the value chain. Of course, also one of the most important stakeholders is the beneficiary, which is the company or individual that performed the energy efficiency project and of course will benefit from the payment of it. These are the ones that have to be in the spotlight because of course all the energy savings in Spain will be achieved if the beneficiary knows about the system and can benefit from it. End consumers would be the people or the company benefiting from the energy efficiency saving, as in, for example, in case of the savings not being allocated to the original people. For example, we have a consultancy company that want to help these companies, the clients benefit from the 𝗘𝗍, and what they do is they buy the savings so they can commercialize with them on behalf of the customers. So this would be the end consumers of these savings. Then we have the verifier, Equine, who is presenting the webinar, and this is also a key stakeholder in the system, and they're going to make sure that every energy saving that is given into the system is truthful and can be verified, and they are going to be in charge of telling the coordination of the 𝗘𝗍 system to issue the WISE on behalf of some obligated party. Then we have the regional coordinators that are going to, of course, coordinate the market on a regional level based on the regions of Spain, and the national coordinator, who is the maximum responsible of the market and decides and gives the final acceptance for the 𝗘𝗍 to be issued. So after seeing who is who and how the market works, what project can be converted into white? Well, the easy answer is any project, because any project we have energy efficiency and help saving energy can then be turned into white certificate. But there are two main categories for this. We have the standard projects and the singular projects. Standard projects, currently we have 114 use cases in Spain, and our projects that the Ministry of Industry in Spain have published the guidelines for them to be converted into whites, as in how energy savings are going to be calculated for each of the projects and what documentation must be applied for this. Of course, it's very difficult to standardize every single project that can be converted into white. Therefore, we are slowly adding fish, as we call in Spain, fichas, to the catalog. We started with 56 back in October back in 2023. Back in July this year, we moved to 114, and I think we'll have a new batch soon. Of course, the aim is to provide more use cases in a standard way so that efficiency projects are developed following these guidelines, and the issuance of white certificates and 𝗘𝗍s is much more efficient. We currently have 5 areas where this apply. We have the tertiary, which is all the service sectors, can be hotels, stores, and so forth, agricultural, residential, industrial, and transport. Transport applying, for example, to moving from combustion vehicles to EV vehicles, car sharing, and so forth. And then we have the singular projects, which are complex projects that may apply, for example, to oil and gas companies that are not so hard to standardize. And of course, we can still verify them, but the process is a bit longer because it requires to take some measurements and a bit more extensive audit. But again, these are as viable as the standard, and even though the timeline may be a bit longer, they usually provide a larger amount of energy savings. And finally, I want to explain this very high level because we can be speaking about this for hours, but this is how the workflow would be for creating a 𝗘𝗍, a white energy efficient, a white certificate, sorry, and how each stakeholder take place. First of all, we of course need to execute an energy efficiency performance project. And right now it's very important to understand that it's not only new projects, but any project that has been performed from January 26, 2023, which is the date in which the law came in place. Any project started and finished from that date forward and up to 3 years after the project is finished can be turned into a white certificate. So we have the end users, which are the companies that, of course, and the beneficiary alongside the beneficiaries are going to identify what can be performed and how to perform it. They do a project for energy efficiency. Let's say, for example, they change a combustion chamber into a much more efficient one. What they should do now is identify the savings and then contact a delegate party, an obligated party, a company like us, for example, AICE-ITC, who is not a delegated party yet, but we are working as a mandate party, as I explained before, in the market, and ask for help on how to account the energy efficiency and how to put it into the market. Then what they will do alongside any partner they may work with is looking for a delegated subject or an obligated subject who is going to buy the energy efficiency project. They will be buying the energy offset. This is important because the energy offset can belong to any person or company, but the 𝗘𝗍 itself can only belong to a delegated party or an obligated party. If the project has been executed, then we would skip step B, but if not, we would execute a measure, knowing beforehand how much energy we expect to obtain, energy savings we expect to obtain, and how much they're going to be paid for the offset. And what they do is, alongside all the partners and the verifier entities, prepare the K file, which has the K agreements, which is the document through which energy savings ownership is transposed from one party to the other. Then we have a description of the energy efficiency project has been performed. If it's standard, we will need to add all the information that we are required, which is usually the budget, pictures, and some kind of formal technical project to actually demonstrate that the project has been performed according to the standards that we are defining. And once this K file is ready, it's sent through to the verifier, which are, again, I say, key figure in this market because they're going to make sure that everything is in place so that the Ks are issued. And they're going to be the ones saying this project can become into white certificate or not. Once we have a positive verdict from the verifier entity, the K application is submitted to the regional coordinator who makes sure that everything is in place and then scales that up to the national coordinator. Once again, they're going to verify that everything is compliant and the obligation and savings are correct. And they are also in charge, of course, of monitoring the system as a whole. But in this case, they're going to be the last entity to give the final check for the KIs to be issued. Once the KI is issued, it is issued in account of the obligated or delegated subject that has hired and has asked for the verification to be performed. And then they have two options. Then the KI can be sold again to a third party, or it can be liquidated into the account of the obligated subject that has an obligation towards the energy efficiency fund, so that they can meet this obligation at a cheaper price than they would be paying otherwise if they were to pay the 182 euro per megawatt hour. And then, of course, eventually, the national coordinator will be in charge of inspecting and overseeing that everything is in place, and also even a measure is finished to make sure that that's still in place if the lifespan of this action is to be extended. This is a very good diagram. I took it from the Royal Decree and some presentations that the IDAE and the Ministry of Industry in Spain have performed. So thank you for that. And I wanted to bring a case study. This is a case study we have performed. This was an industrial project in which we helped a company, 𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲, which is an engineer firm, and we also helped the client, of course, the end client, replace this high efficiency process chiller plant, which gave out roughly 1 gigawatt hour in savings, and through which the end customer of 𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲 had a return of investment of 40%. This is also a very good example because in this particular case, there were many stakeholders involved. We have the customer, which is also the main beneficiary, which is the company that's going to benefit the most from the white certificate scheme because they're going to get money back for their investment, for the capex that they invested on this chiller plant, for example. 𝗲𝗲𝗲𝗍𝗲, who is the engineering company with whom we've been working for a long time, and we also help them achieve, let's say, new contracts or be on top of the market by providing the KS service. In this case, we ACT, we bought these savings for them and we did the whole process, and then we sold these savings, in this case, to the delegated subject that then worked on the issuance of the whites. And to finish, to wrap up, again, there are many stakeholders in this market, so I'd like to speak a small bit about the benefits from each of the different groups that we've been speaking about. Of course, for saving owners and companies, they are the main beneficiaries of this scheme, besides the obligated parties who will, of course, save money through it. Of course, they can progress in sustainability. They can achieve an improvement in Scope 1 emissions by consuming less energy and being more efficient in their own activities. They can, of course, reduce the energy bill because all these projects will carry only not the benefit of the KS, but also the long-lasting benefit of paying less monthly on energy consumption. It's a vehicle to be competitive and compliant with European guidelines. And of course, we have very operational and economical advantages. When it comes to manufacturers and distributors, again, if all of us are aware of the market and how this works, they can adjust their technical documentation. They can adjust also their sales pitch. They can also be on top of the KI market, so it can help them sell more efficient pieces of equipment, and also they can adjust to new directives from the European Union. And this is like a key gate for them to achieve different strategic partnerships with delegated parties or other parties in the market. For installers, which is the case I showed before, is also a good mechanism for them because they can use it commercially to help them strengthen their relationship with the clients. They can offer advantages in terms of price and commercial ownership because, of course, they can work with the money that they're going to get back through the whites. They have a representation between clients and other collaborators, in this case ACT, but they can have also a close relationship with any other given delegate or related party in the system. This can help them increase the sales, and of course, and the most important thing, there is not an economic effort for them because these parties will always carry on the works. And bureaucratically, it's very simple because they have all the documentation they need to present for at least the standard projects is anything that they will have to do otherwise. So it's a very low extra effort for a very big reward. And finally, for the obligated parties, of course, they're going to have savings because they will be compliant with the national fund at a cheaper price. And they will be also much more flexible in payments to the FNEE because traditionally they had to pay 25% of the obligation on a quarterly basis. But now, at least nowadays and this year and the next that I'm aware of, they will be able to pay the percentage that goes through CAEs at the end of the year. So they have more flexibility in terms of payments. This was it. Thank you very much for your time. And please, any question you may have again at the end of the webinar, I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, you have my contact on the screen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rafael. Very clear explanation. And now is the turn of Clara González-Pedraz, Energy Business Unit responsible for the company EQA, which is an international certification, inspection and verification entity with more than 26 years of experience. Clara will also focus on energy saving certificates in Spain, key issues, and energy-intensive industry examples. I can give you.
Thank you, Teresa.
The control. Okay.
Okay. One sec. Now. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this webinar. I'm Clara González-Pedraz. I'm in charge of the Energy Business Unit at EQA. It's a certification and verification body. And we are accredited by the Spanish accreditation body, ENAC. ENAC give us accreditation in different lines of business that goes through climate change verification, EU ETS scheme for CO2, or ISO 50001, for energy efficiency systems. I'm in charge of this scheme and also for the white certificate verification scheme, which we are also accredited by ENAC. Thanks to my colleague, he has explained very well the primary market in CAES, so I don't need to repeat everything about the regulated entities, obligated subject and delegated subject. So this is what he explained before, but I'm going to give few data just to put in place what is going on in this country since 2023. In 2023, the obligations in gigabytes are set by the ministry every year through a normative that is usually approved in the month of March. According to the sales of the obligated entities, obligated marketers, there is an annual saving obligation set in this normative. This obligation, look the numbers from 2023 to 2024, is nearly the double. The financial obligation without CAES is the double. But the financial obligation with 𝗂𝗍, using 𝗂𝗍 system, using savings instead of euros, is quite similar. This means the ministry is really enhancing the system in Spain, and it's supposed it's going to be stronger for the next year. In 2025 will be up to 80% of the energy savings obligation, and in 2026 will be up to 90%. And also we have to consider that the financial obligation is calculated with the financial equivalence euros per gigabyte. This is also increasing every year. So we can see it's really a bet for this system by the government. Okay, these are the basic normative in Spain. And also who are the energy savings owners. My colleague has explained before. So this is a win-win system. Everybody wins, and basically is the primary market, which has been explained, it's a private market, and it goes very efficiently, and everybody wins throughout this market. And I think it's a very strong tool to meet the targets on energy efficiency for Spain. In 2004, up to 2,800 gigabytes could be paid to the national fund via savings, via 𝗂𝗍, via white certificates. With data we have until 30th of September of this year, only 387 gigabytes have been transformed into 𝗂𝗍. You can see that 166 are from catalog or standard measures, and 220 come from singular measures. Clearly, only 16 singular measures, but most of the savings. Clearly, the singular measures are focused to industrial sector and brings higher savings. EQA, up to this date, has verified 183 of these 387 gigabytes, and basically in singular measures. Okay. We are in the previous intervention. He showed this translated into English. I didn't have time. I'm very sorry, but we have in peak season of verification of 𝗂𝗍, because it's the end of 2024. And we are performing a lot of verifications right now. So we act as independent verifier, accredited by a verification body, and we receive the whole file. Once the energy efficiency installation has been put in place and is working, and once the calculation has been performed according to the rules, and once you have all the justifying documentation you need, like pictures, like budgets or projects or whatever. This is our accreditation by ENAC. We were the first one to be accredited for all kind of sectors, or both standard and singular in all the sectors. And as my colleague said, there are standard actions which are all compiled in a catalog, which are 114. You can see the previous catalog are in gray, the numbers, and in green, the new catalog approved in July 2024. The previous one was from October 2023. So in total, it's more than the double it used to be until July. industrial standard actions are based in replacement for new equipments, more energy efficiency equipment, engines, installing frequency converters, cooling system. You can see there, or improving heat recovery systems. But well, there is also something new for the catalog, for this catalog in July, that there are certain actions that are replicable and systematic, like tire renovation or windows renovation in a lot of buildings or things like that, that you can have like a simplified way of compiling all the requirements and simplified verification. And also there is another concept, which is transversality, that if, for example, if an energy efficiency measure is not included in a certain sector of the catalog, for example, residential sector, you can use another sector, for example, industrial or tertiary sector, if this measure is not in your sector. For example, in residential, there is no lighting renewal, so you can use the tertiary one. What are the key issues for the catalog standard actions? Easy calculation. It's very easy. Requires always the same documents, which is very easy to compile, and the verification is easier, and it doesn't imply an on-site visit. But it has strict requirements to enter into the standard action. For example, the industrial in 150 requires the complete renovation of a cooling plant, not part. For example, there are strict requirements to use this standard measure, and usually it gives less savings, as you can see in the data I said before, that a calculation via singular method. And also exception to this rule, because usually they have less savings because they are calculated in a conservative way. But the exception that there are mistakes in the formula has been analyzed and changed by the ministry, and because they give outrageous savings. So these are stopped at the filter of the ministry or the regional administration. For singular measures, singular actions, it's most industrial actions are calculated with this method. Is use the measurement and verification protocol, IPMVP, and this is the calculation method. We need a baseline adjusted with significant variables to calculate the savings. Option B and C from the IPMVP are the option preferred. It doesn't mean you cannot use the A or D, but basically the A is very restricted, and you should use it in certain because you can with the A you cannot really calculate a baseline, an energy baseline. So B and C are the option preferred for the ministry, and This means you need to measure before the installation and after the installation. What do you need to measure? You need to measure energy consumption, usually final use of energy consumption, but you can use primary also and transform it, because also, I don't know if anybody said, but 𝗘𝗚𝘆, but energy transformed in 𝗘𝗚𝘆 must be final energy consumption. Relevant variables, significant variable, statistically significant variables, and other factors that can really be relevant to the consumption model of this plant, of this installation. So how long do you have to measure? That depends on data you have, on the processes, on the variability of the processes. But it must be a demonstrative period to give a robust statistical model. And data out of this demonstrative period can be extrapolated to 12 months, which is the amount of time that you calculate the savings to be transformed into 𝗘𝗚𝘆. Usually it's easier in industry with energy efficiency management systems in place, like ISO 50000. What's a key fact? You always have to comply with the EU Energy Efficiency Directive. And there is a thing that affects too many industries that really you cannot, since January 2024, you cannot use the savings or from direct fossil fuel combustion technologies. And there are many savings in these systems. But there is an exception in the directive for energy-intense enterprises. Now, the ministry in Spain is trying to define which are these energy-intense enterprises that can really put in place these technologies and reduce energy, fossil fuel in combustion technologies. Well, I said this before. And how is the verification process? Okay, all verification process in place, it doesn't matter what sector, what area, are ruled by the ISO 17029, which is the general principle and requirement for the validation and verification bodies. We all follow this rule. And then down to the 𝗘𝗚𝘆 system, there is this document RDE 33 that gives verifiers the scheme of the verification process for 𝗘𝗚𝘆. There are important definitions, which is the claim. The claim is an information declared by the client to be verified. Okay, this information are in 𝗘𝗚𝘆 the kilowatts declared. It should be calculated precisely at the applying of a verification. In that moment, everything should be calculated with all the data and all the technical documentations. So we have 4 phases. When there is a pre-engagement, in the pre-engagement phase, we need everything. We need the calculation, we need the project, we need the convenio. Convenio is the agreement between the owner of the installation of the savings and the obligated or delegated subject. And then we, because we need only obligated and delegated companies can order a verification. Nobody else in the market. And so after this we need to know they own the savings. So after this pre-engagement, we make an engagement, a contract, and we need to, in this contract, we must write down the kilowatts declared by the client. And after that, we plan the verification and perform the verification. There is an installation visit in singular projects. And then there is a technical review after the verification is finished for a third-party team within EQA. And then we release the verification statement, declaration, and report, which is needed to apply for the CAEs in the ministry. So what are the main points? Data quality. We need to know that the original source of data is good and is reliable. Accuracy and precision. We work with precision of the data, and we cannot overcome an uncertainty, which is 2% per singular actions. And and also we have a very strong team of experts in energy efficiency that their knowledge and reviewing the project and the data, they can really verify if it's a feasible action in place and it's a feasible amount of savings. So the verification process itself, it starts with a documental review and a risk analysis. We finish with a verification plan, and then we perform the verification with an on-site visit. We trace the data to the original source. We also review the models of calculation, the statistical methods, and ensure it's under the permitted uncertainty. And also calibration of equipment is very important to ensure that it's giving a precise data. And also we ensure compliance with the Energy Efficiency European Directive. Some measures installed in annex systems related to systems that consume fossil fuel combustion of fossil fuel, which is not permitted so far, but this installation in by-side in annex system to this combustion equipment can be used inside the CAE system. For example, installation of a heat recovery equipment at the flue gas outlet on a boiler. And the example I'm going to give is a case study in a steel industry. It's exactly that. It's the heat. They installed a new heat recovery at the flue gas outlet on a furnace. And with this, they preheat the air that is used with the mixed with natural gas in the combustion of the furnace. Where was it? In Extremadura. It's a region in Spain, and it costs 350,000 euros. Edison Next was the delegate subject, and Balboa is the industry, the owner of the installation. So this rolling mill can achieve 1,250 degrees centigrade through the furnace, and it burns natural gas and air. So we can see the old heat recovery equipment and the new one that has been installed in place, because the old has decreased its capacity. So you can see how they made the calculation. We check the option B of the IPMBPA. The baseline is calculated with a year of data, nearly a year, 320 something data, I think, because there were stopping dates of the plant. And the reference period after the installation was up to 5 months of reference period. It doesn't have to be 5 months, but the longer, the better. You can see the square is very good. It's up to 8.5. 0.8 is good. So this is very good statistical result with the data, with the tons. Tons production is the variable, significant variable. There is a deeper statistical analysis that I haven't written here, but of course there is a very deep statistical analysis to give a robust model. And this is the demonstrative period, and you can see the saving days are in green, overconsumption days are in red. This was a short period where they have problems with the oven, with the furnace, but the rest you can see a big amount of savings according to the reference consumption that has been calculated with this equation from the baseline. And energy savings are up to 10.5 gigabytes. It means that it has been covered the whole investment of the energy efficiency action of the installation of the heat recovery. So for industry, I would say singular projects are more successful and gives more return to the finance the installations. And this is my contact, and you can ask whatever at the question section.
Thank you very much, Clara. Now is the turn of Eduardo Rodríguez, Technical Manager Industry and Urban Ecosystem Area of EnergyLab, which is an AuditPlus project partner. EnergyLab is a private non-profit technology center that develops research and development activities. Eduardo will give us some information about our next webinar focused on the food industry.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can proceed, Eduardo.
Yes, thank you very much, Teresa. Okay, can you see my screen? Yes, I think, no? It's okay, no?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. As Teresa said, I'm Eduardo Rodríguez. I'm the Technical Manager of Industry and Urban Ecosystems at EnergyLab. And we are involved in this project, AuditPlus, as a technical partner. So My presentation is very brief. I just want to tell you that soon we will prepare a seminar focused on the food industry sector. In the seminar, we will talk, among other topics, about the state of energy consumption in food industry, environmental impacts of energy consumptions, laws and regulation, energy assessments, about the energy management in this sector, and the most important topic in this webinar will be the EMS, the energy saving measures. So we will keep you informed about the dates, and that's all from our side. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you. Finally, to conclude this round of speeches, we give way to Ana Mezquita, Senior Researcher at the Institute of Ceramic Technology, which is also partner of the AuditPlus project in Spain. At the Institute of Ceramic Technology, they work in research, development, and innovation to generate innovation and improve the strategic positioning of ceramic sector on an international scale. So let me give you the control, Ana.
Thank you, Teresa.
Here you are.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. I'm sorry, Teresa, but I cannot share. Now, can you see? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we are seeing your screen.
Sorry, there was
the presentation, please.
Okay, thank you. So, well, my intervention will be very short. As the one before, we only want to inform you that there will be a new webinar focused on the ceramic industry. It will be in May, this next year, in May 2025, okay? We will share you the specific date in the following months. Just as very short.
Sorry, Ana. Sorry to interrupt, but we can see your screen, but not the presentation.
Oh, sorry.
Can you select the presentation?
No, that's the problem. Okay, I stop. It's not here. This is open and it's not here. This is what I did. Now?
Now you will see the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. There was a mistake.
Okay.
Okay, so I was explaining you the current context of the ceramic industry just to arise the interest on this workshop. The ceramic industry is an energy-intensive sector. It has a high consumption of energy, but mainly thermal energy, which is obtained from the combustion of natural gas. Hence, the natural gas is the main source of carbon dioxide emissions. With current technologies, which are really mature technologies, the process is quite optimized, and we have a limited emission reduction margin to reduce even more the carbon dioxide emissions. In the webinar, this is the actual distribution of energy consumption in the ceramic tile manufacturing industries. 90% of the energy that is consumed comes from the combustion of natural gas, and only around 8–10% comes from electricity. Okay? The verified emissions in the sector, in the global sector, are around 2 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. Okay, there are 3 main stages that are energy consuming, and we will focus on them in the webinar to show you some energy saving actions. We have just one slide here to show you what we will talk about in the spray dryers, in the tile dryers, and in the kilns. Although I know that some of you are not related with the ceramic industry, I think that this webinar could be really interesting for you, as you know that some ideas or some energy recovery action can be translated from one sector to another one, can be replicated from one sector to another one. So I think that it's really interesting to know what is happening in another industrial sector that could be applied in the industrial sector where you work. Okay. We will talk also about future technologies that could even improve even more the energy efficiency in the ceramic industries. Okay, and that's all from my side. It's a really brief summary of what will be in our workshop, and nothing else to say apart from inviting you to participate in this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. I think we can now open the time for questions. You can ask questions by clicking on the hand icon and activating the microphone, or in writing by typing the question in the chat, indicating to whom the question is addressed, and we will read it. Okay, I think someone reacted some time ago. We don't have any questions so far. You can address the questions to any of the speakers today. Edita Novak, Rafael Mirat, Clara González-Pedraz, and maybe Ana Mezquita or Eduardo Rodríguez, if you want to ask something about the following webinars.
Is Edita in the webinar? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would like to make a question to Edita, because you said that the direct energy efficiency directive is going to be transposed in before 10 of October 2025. Is that correct? So it's only how many months? Because the previous directive, I think, was different, or not? And if you know how are going the other countries, how are going in the transposition of the directive, if you know?
Thank you very much, Antonio, for the question. So about the transposition period for the member states. So the transposition period for the member states is 2 years. Actually, the directive entered into the force already on the 10th of October 2023. So 2 years brings us to the 10th of October 2025. And indeed, it's different from 2018 directive, because basically the previous directive had 18 months. Yes, so there is a difference indeed, but because of the complexity of the new provisions, the co-legislators decided to give member states 2 years. About the speed of transposition of the directive, we are in constant dialogues with the member states. We are having expert group meetings with the member states. We are having committee meetings, concerted action that is happening even this month, and we are organizing a number of workshops. So all the member states are in the process of the transposition. Of course, some member states have already prepared the laws. Some of the member states have already adopted the laws. Others are in the process of doing it. But the deadline is 10th of October 2025, and well, we as the Commission, we only, let's say, start following what has been transposed or not only as of October next year. But yeah, the work is ongoing. Ongoing, and as I said, many member states are already telling us that yes, they are adopting or they are in the process of updating the legislative framework in line with the Energy Efficiency Directive.
Thank you, Edith.
If I may, since I was talking, I would like to, because I liked very much the example on the waste heat recovery project provided by Clara, and I would like have just one question, because, like, of course, waste heat recovery. This is the direction of the travel. Of course, we would like to see maybe more uptake of the waste heat reuse and recovery. And of course, we are also looking into the ways how to stimulate this kind of developments. And I really liked presentation of Clara. I just have one question, like, when the project idea started and how long did it take actually from, let's say, inception of the idea up until the concrete project implementation, just to have an idea how long really it takes from conceptualizing up until the moment we can count actually each and every energy saving.
One request of the white certificate in Spain is that all the execution of the installation of the new equipment, whatever, must be after January 2023. Okay, must be installed after that year. And I said before that usually it's easier to put in place a baseline with good data quality for ISO 50000 certified companies, because they have installed all kind of measurement equipment because of their management system. So if they need to extract data before the installation of a certain equipment, as energy saving equipment, they have this data, which is a problem in other kind of companies that don't have submetering. So you cannot really make a statistical model with a general data from a whole energetic system when there are many consumption processes. So you need submetering usually in place. And but apart from that, if they have the data before, they install, they execute the action, they put in operative the action, because usually there are few weeks of trials with the new equipment in industrial companies, and then they measure the performance period, which is a real measure of how the consumption is working, and you compare with the data with the baseline. I don't know if I answered your question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. If there is no questions or comments, we want to thank you all for attending this webinar. Please stay tuned, because in the next weeks we will share interesting content on our websites and in our social media profiles, and we would like to share it with you. Okay? Thank you very much for attending this webinar. See you soon.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
day. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye.